Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Web3 Talks. My name is Ornella Hernandez and we have a special episode today because we have a special guest, Mr. Brian Rose. How are you?
I'm great, thank you for having me. It's amazing being in Dubai and it's amazing just being here, getting in trouble, broadcasting, etc. So thanks.
Thank you for coming on. So Brian, you are the founder and host of the podcast, The London Real, that has been going on for over a decade already, right? How many years exactly?
Going on our 13th year.
13th year, okay. Yeah. So how do you feel now that it's been 13 years of hosting the show, and after talking to so many guests, I wanna know where you're at right now and why you're in Dubai.
Yeah, so look, I've got a crazy story. I actually worked in traditional finance on Wall Street for 15 years. I went there straight after school. Worked in Manhattan, like in the Gordon Gekko days, where things were hardcore and crazy, which was amazing. I moved to London to continue that career. And then in 2010, I was really having a struggle. I was finally making the money I dreamed of, but the money wasn't making me happy. And, you know, on paper to the outside world, I was this huge success. But like, meanwhile, I was like all alone in my apartment, like drinking myself to death. And I thought, you know what, we've got to stop doing this. And so I took a meditation course. I was watching too much Joe Rogan and I quit everything and I started my own show and I called it London Real because I thought London, it's the greatest brand name ever made.
Yeah,
and,
you were in London.
Yeah, and I was in London and I was like, I'm just gonna use this city as a brand. So I just started having conversations with anyone stupid enough to come over to my kitchen, right? Back then, podcasting wasn't big. Podcasting in Britain, I mean, forget about it. Nobody knew what I was doing.
So wait, is that what TradFi does to you? It makes you want to go into podcasting?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, none of my banking buddies talk to me anymore. They just think I'm weird. It's actually a difficult career to get out of because you have these golden handcuffs. You know, I've never met anyone except in banking that's making $3 million a year who's totally broke. But they are. They got 3 houses, kids in private school, 2 ex-wives. They can't get out of that business. And so luckily I didn't have all that, so I could walk away. And I always joke that banks finance London Real to their chagrin because I used my savings to just, you know, do the show for 3 years when there was no business model. Nobody was watching. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I was just having conversations that were meaningful to me, and I was changing and, you know, doing something positive and giving back. And that's just brought me all the way to today on the craziest adventures you could ever believe. It's like a Hollywood movie. And Dubai is more like a Hollywood movie.
Seriously, yeah. So wait, looking back, how would you rate your career so far then in that transition? What has maybe been some of the most rewarding moments and some of the most challenging?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is realizing that, you know, life isn't all about Brian's bonus. It's not even about Brian. And that when you start realizing these subtle messages, like we're all part of a big picture, we are all one, if you will, and that ultimately by contributing and being of service, that's where real meaning comes from. It took me a few years to get that in my thick head, but so many of my guests would tell me that. And it could be a bodybuilder or a Navy SEAL or an activist. And at the end of the interview, after 2 hours, they would say, basically, you know, we're all one at the end of the day. And so I started to learn that. I met some crazy guests. I started making documentary films with some of those guests. So one of them challenged me to run an Ironman race on a vegan diet. One of them took me to his castle in Scotland where he was a high performance coach. One of them took me down to Costa Rica where I drank the plant medicine ayahuasca. And so I made all these crazy adventures, created content, started an academy, started teaching people. And now we actually invest in the crypto space with London Real Ventures. So it's just, I don't know where it takes me. I really don't know where this takes me. I'm just going with it because for me, this is like living life turned up to a 10. And I just meet the wildest people and do the coolest things.
Yeah, no, definitely perks of our job. We're, you know, both interviewers, so it's cool that I get to talk to you and learn more about you this time instead of it being the other way around.
Yeah, I don't talk too much. Usually I'm asking the questions. You know, funny enough, a lot of people on YouTube or out there are introverts, and they really like, you know, the medium because it allows them to connect without feeling like they're out there. I know people don't believe that, but I know tons of YouTubers, they're quite introverted. And so I started off only asking questions. I wouldn't talk about myself for the first 3 or 4 years. Now I'm getting a little more comfortable.
Now after 13 years.
Yeah, still got a ways to go. Come back in 13 more years.
All right, so you mentioned that you got into crypto. So I'd love to hone in to that part and ask, when was the first time you even heard about crypto? Do you have like a memory or a specific moment that you can recall when I don't know, someone mentioned Bitcoin, or tell us about that moment?
Yeah, so in 2013, we were 2 years into the show, and I heard Bitcoin coming out, and we were always trying to interview guests that were talking about, the important things, what was going on in the world. And this was out there. I had a finance background, so I was a little curious about it. And I remember going on Twitter and saying, who knows about this? Who can I talk to in London? And a bunch of people came back and said, Max Kaiser. And so I looked at Kaiser and I was like looking at him, I'm like, I don't know if this is the right guy. And so I was typing on Twitter, I was like, nah, I don't think it's Max. And I remember Max was like saying something back to me like, I don't even think you're a show. And then finally I wrote like, Max Kaiser is not the guy. I said, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? And then he sent me a DM on email and in an aggressive way said, oh yeah, you think you want to do this? I'll come into your place right now. So he came over to do a podcast. I thought we were going to get into a fight, but Kaiser came on my show in 2013 and broke the internet, screaming at the microphone, calling out the head of the Federal Reserve and talking about Bitcoin. And I bought my first Bitcoin in 2013 for about $80, I think it was.
Okay.
And I started a great relationship with Max and Stacy. They actually traded a Bitcoin at my Thanksgiving dinner table in 2015 with a buddy of mine from Goldman Sachs. How rude is that? I got no commission. And I started the journey then. I had Andreas Antonopoulos on my show 3 times.
That's how I actually, when I first was learning about crypto and blockchain, I was reading his books.
Yeah.
I turned to him first, yeah.
We have these beautiful interviews with him with like 6-camera high definition that there's just nothing like that out there. And this is when he was talking about the internet of money, the future of money, before the term DeFi was used.
Right.
And it was fascinating. And a lot of my students still watch those interviews to get up the curve. And so I knew about it, I touched it, but I was busy broadcasting. I was busy in an academy. I remember once or twice I thought I should buy a chunk of this, and I never did. So fast forward to 2020, we are broadcasting during lockdown. We have some guests on that have comments about lockdown. We start getting censored by YouTube and it starts getting crazy. In 2021, I run for mayor of London because I'm not happy how the city is going. And then on May 6th, I lost that race and it was really hard. We tried really hard to do it, spent millions of pounds, spent 7 months. And then I thought to myself, what the hell am I gonna do? And I had been keeping DeFi in the corner of my eye. And I remember that first week after I lost, I went in and I just did a deep dive on the blockchain space because I hadn't looked at it in years. And I looked at the DeFi summer of 2020 and I was like, man, wait a second, these kids are actually doing something. Look at the total value lock. It reminded me of my days trading derivatives on Wall Street. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I looked at my team and I said, we're going all in on DeFi, blockchain. We're gonna start an academy, we're gonna teach it, and I'm gonna interview the top 100 people in crypto on my channel. And that was it. We just went forward. And because we had 2 million YouTube subscribers, I could get Michael Saylor on live. I could get, layer 1, layer 2 CEOs on live. Yatsu taught me about the metaverse from Animoca Brands, and all these people came on, and we just went into it. And I loved every second of it. I love it. It's a fun industry, it's creative, and it's all about freedom.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm a huge fan.
No, I agree. That's why I'm in it as well. So you were able to recognize the value right away once you started researching more, coming from that traditional finance background. You were able to see what blockchain and crypto can offer and what it promises to offer. So in that case, what did financial freedom end up meaning to you? Yeah,
so again, I kind of glossed over it, but in 2020, we almost had our YouTube channel removed from us. And this was something I'd spent, 10 years on, 10,000 videos, like 500 million views. My whole life was up there. And for me, it's not just a business, like it literally is my life. And in 2020, we were starting to get deplatformed and having PayPal accounts seized and, losing accounts. And I started to realize that I thought it was the weirdos that got censored until it happens to you.
Right.
And I thought, man, I thought I had these freedoms. I thought I grew up in America or the UK, but I actually don't. And these big tech companies are actually taking things away from me. So I know what it feels like to have your freedoms taken away. And so when I look at something like crypto and blockchain, where you have ownership of your digital assets and ownership of these things, when you own something, they can't take away your freedoms. But when you don't own something, they can. So all my videos were on YouTube. They had my social graph, they had my subscribers, they could control me, and they could tell me to shut up and don't say that. In subtle ways, shadow banning, demonetizing, or outright, we're throwing you off the thing with a strike. And so I have a special place in my heart for crypto because it aligns with the values of London Real. which are about freedom of expression. I believe you have the right to say what you want to say as long as you're not committing a crime. And I have the right to listen to what you have to say. And yet right now, as of 4 months ago, YouTube deplatformed us. And it basically says my 2.4 million subscribers in the world who want to listen to me and I want to talk to them, a technology company has come in the middle and said, no, you're not allowed to talk to each other. You're not an adult. You can't make a decision. You don't have sovereignty over your own brain and body. These are dangerous ideas. I don't believe there are dangerous ideas. I hate that expression. That assumes that you're not mature enough to process something. So for me, you can tell it's a little personal, and I see blockchain as ultimately giving us freedom and getting us decentralized. So banks and governments and big tech can't control our finances, our expressions, our movements. So that's what this industry means to me.
Okay, so is that why you put on your X profile bio, fighting for freedom of speech since 2011? You're a freedom fighter in general, not just speech, but like you said, it's for financial freedom as well, and for freedom of just living our lives.
Yeah, my show has always been unscripted, unedited, uncensored. I let someone talk for 2.5 hours. I'm telling you, Ornella, you have no idea how many of my guests that I've disliked, hated, disagreed with. And
but that's good though.
Yeah,
right?
well, in retrospect it is, because
views.
I sit there and I listen to them and I want to say something or I want to disagree. I know they're wrong, but I listen to them and I let other people listen to their points of view. And what happens is a year later, oftentimes I change my mind. The problem is, and you know from your broadcasting career, on mainstream media, they want people yelling and barking and cutting each other off. That's not a way to have a conversation. I know it's a way to get views. That's not a way we progress as humanity. And so I found that even I was biased and I needed to just listen to people, because many times I would literally change my life and start following some of their ideas. And so they say freedom of speech only applies when it's someone you don't like saying something you disagree with. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. We can all say freedom of speech when someone's telling you what you want to hear. It's a really, really hard thing. And again, I'm kind of quoting Elon Musk, with his takeover of Twitter X. He says that as well. Freedom of speech is for someone you don't like, saying things you don't want to say. You have to let them speak.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's how we make progress in this world. So I'm really passionate about it, but we are being censored all the time. I don't think people realize there's censorship everywhere, from our tech platforms to the media. So we're trying to break that. It's a little choppy at the front. You take some hits, so.
All right, so is that also why you created this DeFi course that you mentioned, that you wanted to educate others on the benefits and potential of blockchain and DeFi technology?
Yeah, they say if you want to learn something, teach it. It's a great expression. And we had been teaching online for about 5 or 6 years before I started the Crypto DeFi Academy. We were really good at creating communities. We've been using Zoom for 6 years, and I really knew how to teach and bring people along, hold them accountable, create a community. I always would do it live, so I was like the mentor. So we were actually quite good at that.
Oh, so you were the teacher?
Yeah, I teach live. I call you out, I make sure you do the work. And so I created this 4-week academy, and it's no joke. I mean, like I say, you can go from zero to hero in blockchain in 4 weeks. I got people coming on that can't spell Bitcoin. By the end of it, they've got centralized exchanges, hot wallets, cold wallets. They've done decentralized finance trades on Uniswap. They've funded on Aave. They've even bought an option on crypto, because I'm a derivatives guy and options aren't bad. Bad risk management is bad. And then I teach them about stop losses, all these things that you should know about trading in 4 weeks. It's a lot. And if they don't do the work, I shame them on the call. It's a really hardcore place to be. And the price point is high. And we've graduated over 1,000 students, and I love it. And so, yeah, that's my way of kind of giving back and getting people up the curve.
So why would someone want to listen to you about crypto?
That's a good question.
As opposed to other courses out there.
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, I've now spoken to like 100 of the best people in the business. And I also have a background in finance. And one thing I say is missing in crypto is that most of the trading advice is given by people that have never traded before or only traded crypto. I sat next to some of the hardcore, most grizzled traders on Wall Street. Like these guys that had scars and women on their faces, like the old bear that's still there. And these men and women taught me like how you cut losses, how you look at the market. And when I look at crypto, it's just a cowboy show, which is why 95% of crypto traders lose money. The volatility is extremely high. It makes you make terrible emotional decisions, and you have to have discipline. So I brought that to the table. I brought finance experience to the table. And within 6 months, I had spoken to the biggest players in the system, and I had that content that people could learn from. So I came up the curve really fast, and I also understood the protocols because they were like derivatives. So yeah, that's why I guess it was me to do that.
What has been your favorite interview of a fellow blockchain community member?
You know, I got a bit of a bromance with Yatsu of Animoca Brands. He came on in 2021, and I openly admitted I didn't understand the metaverse. I don't get it. What is it? Is it like me in a headset? And Yat was like, no, it's not. It's as simple as a WhatsApp group. That's a metaverse. It's a digital communication among people. And you can take it to a game. It doesn't mean a bunch of people walking around with headsets in some weird place. It just means a place where humans digitally connect. And if you look at it that way, it changes everything. And I've gone on to have him on the show multiple times. We're actually an investor in Animoca Brands and Mochaverse, their new ID system, and we've co-invested them on a bunch of projects.
I saw you got some NFTs.
Yeah, he just gifted me a Mochaverse, and so I'm really happy about that. And the Mochaverse community is really cool. So yeah, it was epic. Michael Saylor was epic. He had graduated MIT about 3 years before me, and him just dropping science on Bitcoin back in 21. I remember asking him, I'm like, Michael, up to what price will you buy Bitcoin? And he said $250,000. At the time, Bitcoin was like at 40. And I was like, what? He said, I buy it up to $250,000. I'm holding this for 1,000 years. And I'm like, okay, now I understand, Michael. And so those were epic. I mean, there's so many of them. And I was so fortunate to have people like live on my channel. But with 2 million subs, we could get crypto people coming to our show. And most of my audience was non-crypto. So that's how we were able to attract all these people coming on. So yeah, those were highlights.
All right. Do you have any other NFTs?
You know, we actually created a set of 100 NFTs for one of our most controversial guest episodes, and I gifted them to a bunch of former guests, including like heavyweight boxing champion, supermodel, one made man from the mafia. And so we have a group of NFTs, but I gifted them. I never actually just jumped into the NFT frenzy, but I covered it and watched it and respected it. I have an ordinal now because I'm part of the Sparks community. So, and we're investing in some BRC20 projects. So yeah, it's super exciting. And some of our projects are going to be built on BRC20.
Okay, so what else are you looking at in the industry right now? You mentioned BRC20 projects, but now that we are at beginning of 2024, beginning of hopefully an improved bull market, what are you looking at maybe to invest in or just to learn more about?
Yeah, the market is definitely back. I mean, Bitcoin from 35 to 45, it just changes the whole vibe out there. I've started to see much more token opportunities, much more, fully vested at TGE token opportunities that you just don't see in a quiet market. And we've been investing the last 2 years in this kind of crypto winter. We invested about 20 deals. We invested in Dan Tapiero's fund, 1RT. We've invested in metaverse companies. We've invested in Web3 social apps like Favor, where I can never be censored before. So I love that. And I've had the CEOs on my show in London. That's our value add is London Real Ventures. So I have them for a 2-hour interview. And when you can see a CEO articulate their vision like that, it's an amazing asset. It can raise funds on the back of it, get customers, et cetera. So we like DeFi platforms. We've done a lot of games, for sure.
Are you a gamer yourself?
No, I'm not a gamer. My kids are. I have boys that are 6 and 7, and they're crazy gamers. And so I've given them some of the games that we've invested in to
test out,
see if they can give them some traction. But I see games through their eyes, and they're different than the games I played because kids these days play. It's social, it's creative. Right. And it's a whole different thing. So I would say to any parents out there, don't look at your kids when they're playing a game as in, put that away, it's dinner time. Your brain is rotting, which is what my mom used to say to me. They're actually communicating, creating communities. So I would say that. I'm trying to game a little bit more. As far as this year, the BRC20 stuff is really exciting. We're gonna see where that goes and if that can be pulled off. There's actually just tons of innovative things being built on blockchain. It's not like it's all been done by any means. So DeFi platforms, BRC20 stuff, games, SocialFi, all that stuff is really exciting. I have a bone to pick with Web2 social because I'm currently not on YouTube. And so I really am working to get things to the next level on that. And then artificial intelligence, I think it's fascinating.
Yes.
And we're investing in a company that's doing that in a decentralized manner, open source, not giving our power away to the Googles and OpenAIs of the world. That scares me. And I think we need to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, I'm scared of the humanoids.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I interviewed one the other day.
Okay. Was
A
it from
robot.
Singularity Net?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It was Desdemona.
Oh yeah, I know her. So I know Dr. Ben Goertzel and Janet Adams really well, and we're investing in one of their projects called Zarka, their large language model.
Okay.
You know, people think, yeah, I know the humanoids are a little creepy. They've been around for a while, actually. They play in a band with them as well. But like, I think people don't realize that that's the least of our problems, is that it's AI not going to be in the form that we expect, not in the Hollywood movies that we expect, that's going to end up taking things over. And so I've had a lot of guests on London Real that talk about AI, from Mo Gaudet, who's ex-Google X, who wrote a book called Scary Smart. He can take you down a rabbit hole. I've had Peter Diamandis, who is actually quite positive about it because he writes books called Abundance and things like that. But the deeper you go, you have to be careful because it can get dark really quick. I think open source on the blockchain is a way we can keep everybody honest.
Yes, I was gonna say, a big concern is fake content out there. Like, you don't know if the video you're watching is real, if that actually really happened, if that person actually said that. So blockchain is a way to authenticate, validate content and sources. So hopefully there will be more integration of that into the content that we see and produce.
Yeah, and it's going to get worse. Definitely. I mean, in the next year, we will really see deep fakes that we just don't know what's going on. Presidential election coming up, it's going to get spicy.
Speaking about elections, you said that you ran for mayor of London. If this was 2021, right? A couple of years ago. How was that experience? Why did you think that politics was the next career move for you? So
in 2020, you know, we were having some heavy conversations about lockdown, about viruses, vaccines. And I looked at London and it was locked down. And I would take a taxi home every night. We call them black cabs in London. There's these beautiful taxis that are there. And these cab drivers were borderline suicidal. They were like, I don't know what to do with my life. I'm at home, I'm losing my livelihood. I had friends with wine bars and businesses all shut down. And I looked at the mayor and I was like, what are you doing? Like, it looks like your job is to save the city and promote the city, and yet every single move is sabotaging the city. And it just made me really angry. I love London, you know, I love London. It's given me everything, my success, my children were born there. I'm a citizen, I plan on being buried there. And it just made me angry. And so I looked at the candidate, I looked at the conservative candidate. Honestly, he was more of a joke. And I just thought, this is ridiculous, we're gonna run. So I told my team, they're always like, what are you talking about? And I ran with no experience. You know, again, you can kind of go first principles. We had a massive YouTube channel. We were in London. And so I had a battle bus with my face on the side and we drove it around the city. The police were trying to stop us and get us to stop campaigning. They played some dirty tricks on us. We were hitting all these online ads, but we were also in lockdown, so I couldn't do events. It was hard to shake people's hands, but it was a real PhD in political science. At the end of the day, I learned one thing. It's hard to go up against Coke and Pepsi. Coke and Pepsi are the brands, Democrat, Republican, Labor, Conservative. It's really hard to break in as an independent candidate. And there was 2 YouTubers that were running against me as well. Really? And they were getting crazy traction. And so it was a real circus at the end of the day. And so
that's politics for you.
Yeah, that's politics. The next election is in a few months. And
run again?
No comment if I'm going to run again. That city definitely needs saving. When I jump into a taxi anytime in London, they start complaining to me that the city's a mess and when am I going to fix it? So we'll see.
Okay, but now you are in Dubai at the moment, doing interviews out of here. So how has that experience been so far? What do you think about the blockchain and crypto community in Dubai? Yeah,
first of all, thanks to Web3 TV for hosting me here, and thank you for sharing your studio with us. We really appreciate it. You know, Dubai, I always say Dubai is a very London Real city. You know, at London Real, we have our mission statement on the wall, and it's to create a mass scale transformation of humanity into a fully empowered, conscious and cooperative species. And in Dubai, it feels like everyone has these big visions and these big ideas, and they don't accept excuses, and they just want to make things happen. And I just love the vibes here. I remember I was here for GITEX in 22, and I pulled my phone out in the middle of the mall and I started doing a vlog. I do this sometimes. And I said, Dubai is what America used to be. That was the name of the vlog. And I was like thinking of my grandparents and my great-grandparents who used to be in America, and they would just go west. If you go west, you could find success, you could take land, and the government would just leave you alone. They wouldn't tax you. You could have a vision and an idea, and I just don't see that happening now.
Right.
And so for me, Dubai, the energy is just amazing. The community is amazing. And I'd say to everybody out there, it's not what you think it is. Everyone wants to tell you, oh, it's just Vegas in the desert, it's just a bunch of bling. It's not. There's an amazing group of international people here. The community is incredible. I think everybody secretly works for the industry of tourism because everybody wants to sell you on this place.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to tell you to move here right away. And I think it's like Elon Musk. He doesn't market Tesla cars, but the car is so good that people market it for them. And I think that's what Dubai is. They've created a product so good that everybody here markets it for them because it's just an amazing place to be. So I love the vibe, love the energy, and I just decided I need to be here. So we've moved the whole studio and the team here for 6 weeks to just see what happens, see what kind of trouble we can get into. And so far, it's just been amazing. Also, this is kind of the center of crypto in a weird way. You know,
It's becoming that,
it
for
is,
sure.
yeah, it bridges east and west. I mean, the east is full on in crypto. I don't think there was a bear market in the east. The west, obviously having our issues with the states. And then here, it's really the middle of it. So what a great place to be for crypto. So that's why we're here. And I haven't been able to find my return ticket. I don't know where that is. So we'll see.
What's next for Brian then? Can we expect more out of you from Dubai?
So yeah, we'll see. I like it here a lot. And so we might be spending more time here. For us, we just released our 6th feature-length documentary film. It's called We Will Not Be Silenced. I actually premiered it here in Dubai in October, and it's now winning all these awards at film festivals. We actually just won a Dubai Film Festival award, Los Angeles Film Festival award, so we're really excited for that. And then I just want to keep creating. I want to keep investing. I love ventures. I love, you know, again, London Real Ventures is just an extension of London Real. I used to have people on to promote ideas. Now we can give them capital to promote great ideas. So it really is a similar thing.
How do you fund it?
Oh, so we have a group of LPs that are like hardcore London Realers, people that love what we do, following me for years. And that group is how we fund all of our investments. And so it's been something, you know, I always joke, when I left the city, I was like, I was never coming back, right? But it's like Godfather 3, you know, just when you think you're out, they drag you back in. And so I've been dragged back in via crypto into decentralized finance. And now I'm in ventures. And now I dress like a banker more than I ever used to. It's just really weird, but I'm embracing it and I really like it. And it's really a lot of fun. So I'm going to be doing all this, and I'm sure something crazy is going to come along that I can't see coming in the next year or two. I plan on doing this until I die. I think broadcasting is the fountain of youth. And I highly encourage everybody to do their own show.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I'm doing the right thing too.
Yes, you are. Yeah, look how young you look.
I am, yeah.
And I look.
Thank you. All right. We're running out of time, but one last question. How would you envision your ideal world? Like, do you think it'll be fully blockchain enabled, or how do you think we'll be living in, I don't know, the next couple decades?
So I always tell people that, you know, blockchain is the future. It's bigger than the internet. I always say to my students or anybody listening, like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I think every minute of our day will involve a blockchain transaction. We don't understand. Now you might not know it's happening. Even better if you don't know it's happening.
Right.
But I think it is.
You don't want to know the technology behind it. Yeah.
And also there's something beautiful about the blockchain and an open blockchain because it's truth. And, you know, I think we all struggle with knowing the truth from our politicians, from our corporations. But if it's all on the blockchain, you know, we can really know it's there and it's verified. And I think when we're all held accountable, that's when we're our best selves. And I think sometimes it's easy to hide. And a lot of people want their privacy. And I always say, you know, screw your privacy. Because I think we're the best when we're really put on blast and when people can watch us and see, are you taking these habits? Are you doing these things? And so
authenticity.
I think, look, there's a place for privacy, but I think there's something beautiful about the blockchain. Take politics. Imagine if you could really see those budgets, if you could really see those votes, we'd have a much cleaner system, much less corruption. So I think this is the future. It's not if, it's when. And look, the Bitcoin ETF is a step in the right direction. There's going to be a ton of volatility as we get there. You know, I know Cathie Wood cocked $1.5 million Bitcoin by 2030. I think it's trending that way, but getting there, it's the most volatile asset I've ever traded, and I've traded equities and bonds and stocks. And so to be in this, you need discipline, you need a strong stomach, and you need a 10-year horizon. You really need to be thinking 10 years out. 10 years out, is this gonna be big? Yes, okay, that's how you should invest. Don't play with this day stuff, week stuff, month stuff. You're gonna get taken to the cleaners.
Good advice, Brian. Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
And everyone, make sure to check out other episodes of the London Real and also of the Web3 Talks. Until next time.